The market was alive with sound. Alien voices called out, selling food, weapons, and strange objects from faraway worlds. Bright lights hung from tall metal poles. The air was hot, and the smell of spices and smoke mixed together. The place was full of life, yet in the middle of all that noise there was silence around one small figure, a girl. She stood on the cold ground, barefoot, with nothing to cover her body. Her skin was marked with dirt, her lips dry, her hair tangled. She looked weak, almost broken. Around her, people and creatures of many kinds stopped to stare. Some whispered to each other. Some laughed. Others shook their heads and walked away. "No one will take her," one alien trader said with a cruel smile. His 4 eyes blinked slowly as he spat on the ground. "She is nothing," another voice added. "Not even worth a coin." The girl did not speak. She kept her eyes down. Her small shoulders shook, but not from the cold. It was fear. She was afraid of all of them. Afraid of the world around her, and afraid because she did not understand why she was left here. Some creatures threw scraps of food near her, not out of kindness, but to watch her crawl for it. She did not move. She did not beg. Instead, she stood still, silent like a ghost in the middle of the market. Whispers grew louder. Rumors passed from one mouth to another. They say she was left here as punishment. They say she is cursed. Anyone who touches her will suffer. No, I heard she escaped. Maybe from a lab. Maybe from something worse. The crowd laughed nervously. Even if the stories were lies, no one wanted to test them. No one wanted to take her hand. Hours passed. The sun above the alien city moved across the sky. The heat burned, but still no one helped her. She was like an unwanted object thrown away in public. The crowd changed. New faces came and went. But the girl remained. And then, he arrived. A human. He walked into the marketplace wearing a long, dark coat, his boots heavy against the ground. His face was rough, his eyes sharp, but there was something different in his gaze. While others looked at the girl with fear or disgust, he looked at her with surprise and concern. He slowed his steps. The noise of the market seemed to fade as his eyes stayed fixed on her. "What is this?" he asked aloud, his voice cutting through the laughter of the crowd. The traders around him grinned. "She is nothing, human," one said. "Left here because no one wants her." "Do not take her," another warned. "She will bring you trouble." But the human did not listen to them. He stepped closer. The girl raised her head for the first time. Her eyes were wide, shining with fear, but also something else. Hope. For a long moment, the two stared at each other. The world around them was loud, yet in that moment it felt silent. The human took off his cloak. It was simple, worn from travel, but still strong. Slowly, without saying a word, he bent down and wrapped it around the girl's small body. Gasps rose from the crowd. Some laughed even louder now. "Foolish human," they shouted. "She is cursed. You will regret this." But the human ignored them. He stood tall again, the girl now holding onto his cloak tightly. She trembled, but she was not alone anymore. He turned to leave the market, but before he could take a step, a sound reached his ear. It was soft, broken, but clear. "Help," the girl whispered. The human stopped. His eyes narrowed. Something inside him changed at that moment. He had seen many strange things in his travels, but never had a word felt so heavy. The market around them was still filled with laughter, shouts and cruel words, but for the girl and the human, none of it mattered anymore. A decision had been made. He reached out his hand. Slowly, the girl placed her small fingers into his. The crowd watched, whispering, mocking, warning. But he led her away step by step through the noise and out of the market. No one followed. No one tried to stop him. But behind their eyes, fear was growing. Because deep inside, they knew this was not the end. This was the beginning of something far greater. And the abandoned girl, once left to die in silence, had now been claimed. The sun was low in the sky when the human finally left the market with the girl. The alien voices faded behind them, but the memory of their laughter stayed sharp. The girl walked slowly, her steps weak, but she held tightly to the cloak around her. It was the only thing that gave her comfort. The human led her through narrow streets filled with glowing signs and strange smells. Shadows stretched across the ground as the city prepared for night. He did not speak, and neither did she. The silence was heavy, but it was not cruel. It was the silence of someone thinking and someone waiting. At last, the human stopped near a quiet corner. He crouched down to her level. His eyes studied her face, her hands, her tired body. "What happened to you?" he asked in a low voice. The girl looked down. Her lips trembled, but no sound came. She could not explain. She did not even understand it herself. The human sighed. He pulled out a small metal flask from his coat and held it toward her. "Drink," he said. She hesitated, looking at him with doubt. Everyone else had treated her with cruelty. Why was this man different? Slowly, with shaky fingers, she reached for the flask and took a sip. Water, cool, clean, and real. Her throat burned as it went down. But for the first time in days, she felt life inside her again. The human watched her drink. There was no smile on his face, only a strange seriousness. When she handed the flask back, she whispered, "Thank you." His eyes softened, but only for a moment. Then he asked, "Why were you left in the market?" The girl froze. Her mind filled with flashes, bright lights, metal walls, voices shouting, pain in her head. She saw cages. She saw shadows. She saw fear. Her body shook and tears filled her eyes, but no words came out. The human saw the terror in her face. He knew she could not explain. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "It's all right. You don't have to tell me now." But inside, he was asking himself questions. Who was this girl? Why would aliens abandon her in such a cruel way? And why did the crowd whisper about curses and danger? The answer came too soon. From the end of the street, two alien figures appeared. Tall, armored, with glowing weapons in their hands, their eyes fixed on the girl. "There she is," one hissed. "The runaway," the other growled. The girl gasped and grabbed the human's arm. Fear filled her eyes. The human stepped forward, placing himself between the girl and the soldiers. His voice was calm but firm. "What do you want with her?" "She belongs to us," the first alien said. "She is marked. No one may take her." "She is dangerous," the second added. "Give her back, human, before you suffer." The human narrowed his eyes. He could feel the girl's small hand shaking against his coat. He knew she was terrified, but he also knew something else. She was not lying when she begged for help. She was not a curse. She was a victim. "No," he said simply. The aliens growled. The crowd nearby began to whisper again. Some laughed. Some moved closer, hoping for a fight. The girl clung to the cloak. She wanted to disappear, but something inside her refused to stay quiet. Her heart raced, her breath heavy. And then it happened. The lamps on the street flickered. The air grew colder. A sudden pressure filled the space, like the weight of a storm pressing down on everyone's chest. The aliens stopped. Their glowing eyes widened. "It's happening again," one whispered. The human turned his head slightly, looking at the girl. Her eyes, they were glowing faintly in the dark. Not bright, not wild, but enough to make his breath catch. The girl did not notice. She was lost in her fear. The ground beneath her feet trembled for a moment, then stilled. The crowd gasped. The aliens stepped back. They were not mocking now. They were afraid. The human quickly knelt down, putting both hands on the girl's shoulders. His voice was steady, firm. "It's all right, breathe, look at me. You're safe." Her eyes blinked, the glow fading away. The air grew lighter. The trembling stopped, the aliens hissed. "She is cursed. She is dangerous. This is why no one would claim her." But the human stood tall again. His coat wrapped around the girl like a shield. His voice carried strength as he said, "She is with me now. If you want her, you'll have to go through me." The aliens hesitated. They were strong, but fear of her strange power held them back. With angry shouts, they turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving only their threat behind. The girl looked up at the human, her eyes full of fear and confusion. Why help me?" she whispered. He looked down at her, his face unreadable. After a long pause, he said, "Because no one else would." And with that, he took her hand again, leading her away from the street. The whispers of the market followed them, but the human did not care. He had made his choice. Behind them, the alien city glowed with lights, but darkness was coming. Both of them knew it. Neither said a word. But one thing was clear, this was no accident. The girl was not normal. And the universe would not let them walk away so easily. The night air was cold as the human walked through the city streets with the girl at his side. Neon lights flickered above them, glowing in colors not found on Earth. Strange vehicles floated past, leaving trails of light behind. The city never slept, yet in the middle of all its noise, the girl felt more alone than ever, except for the human's cloak around her shoulders and his hand holding hers. He had protected her from the alien soldiers. He had given her water. He had chosen not to leave her behind. But deep inside she wondered, how long will this last? They reached a quiet place near the edge of the market district, where the crowd was thinner. The human stopped and leaned against a wall, finally taking a moment to think. His eyes studied the girl again, this time not with surprise, but with heavy questions. You have power, he said slowly. I saw it back there. The lights, the ground. That wasn't an accident. The girl lowered her head. Shame burned in her chest. I don't know, she whispered. It just happens. I can't stop it. The human's jaw tightened. He had seen many strange things in the galaxy. Machines that could destroy planets, weapons that could tear ships apart. But power inside a child, uncontrolled, was dangerous beyond measure. Still, he did not step away. Instead, he asked, did they hurt you? The ones who abandoned you? The girl closed her eyes. Flashes of memory returned. Metal walls, bright lights, needles piercing her skin, voices speaking in a language she barely understood. She remembered fear. She remembered pain. And she remembered being thrown into the market alone and naked like garbage. Tears filled her eyes. She nodded. The human's expression hardened. He looked away, staring at the dark sky above the alien city. He knew now. She was not abandoned because she was worthless. She was abandoned because she was too important, too dangerous. The girl's voice broke the silence. Will you leave me too? Her words hit him like a blade. For a long moment he said nothing. Inside his mind, two voices battled. One voice said, walk away. This is not your fight. She is trouble. She will bring danger to you. The other voice said, she asked for help. No one else will give it. If you leave her, she will die. Finally, he knelt in front of her again. His eyes, sharp and tired, now carried a strange softness. No, he said firmly. I won't leave you. The girl's lips trembled. For the first time since she was abandoned, a small spark of hope lit inside her chest. But hope was fragile. From the shadows nearby, whispers rose again. Traitors, beggars, and thieves had followed them. They had seen what happened with the soldiers. Now they wanted answers. Some wanted to sell her. Some wanted to kill her. Some only wanted to watch. She will bring death, one hissed. Give her to us, human, another growled. She is cursed. Take her powers for profit, a third whispered greedily. The girl shrank against the wall, clutching the cloak tighter. Fear filled her eyes again. The human stood tall. His hand rested on the weapon hidden beneath his coat. His voice cut through the whispers. She is under my protection. The crowd laughed. One man against all of us? They mocked. But then something strange happened. The girl's fear shifted. It turned into something else, something stronger. The air around her grew heavy once more. The lights flickered above, brighter and brighter until they almost exploded. The ground cracked beneath her feet. Her eyes glowed, brighter than before. The crowd stumbled back, gasping. Fear spread like fire. The human turned quickly, kneeling again. He placed both hands on her shoulders. His voice was calm, steady, like an anchor in a storm. Control it. Breathe. Look at me. Her chest rose and fell rapidly. Her power threatened to break free, to destroy everything around them. But his voice reached her. His eyes, filled with determination, held hers. Slowly the glow faded. The ground stopped shaking. Silence. The crowd was pale, trembling. None dared to step closer now. They backed away into the shadows, whispering, She is too dangerous. She is not human. She should not exist, but the human stayed beside her. He did not let go. You are not a curse, he told her firmly. You are not a weapon. You are a child. Her eyes filled with tears again, but this time they were not only from fear. They were from relief. Someone, for the first time, had seen her as more than a burden. The human stood, pulling her close under his cloak once more. He knew the truth now. Keeping her would mean danger. Soldiers would come. Hunters would follow. She carried secrets the galaxy did not want revealed. But he had made his decision. He would not leave her. He would fight for her. And as the two of them disappeared into the night, whispers spread across the city. The human has claimed the abandoned girl. He has chosen the curse. Now the storm will come. The night grew darker as the human led the girl through the twisting streets of the alien city. Neon signs flickered weakly, casting strange colors across their faces. The crowd behind them had vanished, afraid to follow after seeing her power. But fear always leaves whispers, and whispers spread fast. The girl stayed close to the human, clutching his cloak tightly. Her small hand shook as she held onto him. She did not understand what had happened. She only knew that the light inside her had almost broken free again, and she had nearly lost control. The human glanced at her as they walked. He had seen enough to know the truth. This girl was dangerous, but she was also helpless. Abandoned, hunted, and terrified. She needed protection and she needed guidance. They stopped at a small shelter near the edge of the district. It was quiet, hidden between two tall towers. The human unlocked a metal door and led her inside. The place was simple. A table, 2 chairs, a small fire machine in the corner for heat, a bedroll on the floor. It was not much, but to the girl it felt like a palace compared to the cold stones of the marketplace. "Sit," the human said. His voice was calm, but his eyes never stopped studying her. She obeyed, sitting quietly on the bedroll. Her hands clutched the cloak, her shoulders hunched as if she expected him to throw her out at any moment. The human poured water into a small cup and handed it to her. "Drink." She sipped slowly, her eyes watching him carefully. After a moment, she whispered, "Why? Why are you helping me?" The human leaned against the table, arms crossed. His face was hard, but there was honesty in his words. "Because you asked," her lips trembled. No one had ever given her such a simple answer. Silence fell. The only sound was the soft hum of the city outside. Then, without warning, the fire machine flickered strangely. The flames stretched higher, dancing wildly. The girl gasped, covering her mouth. The human's eyes narrowed. He stepped closer, watching as the machine trembled as if responding to the girl's fear. "Breathe," he said firmly. "Stay calm," but the girl could not. She shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "I can't stop it. It happens on its own." The lights in the room flickered next. The table rattled. The air felt heavy, pressing against their chests. Objects lifted slowly off the ground, cups, metal tools, even the chair. The girl cried out, her hands covering her ears as if she could block the sound of her own power. The human stepped forward quickly, kneeling in front of her. His voice was steady, commanding. "Look at me. Look only at me." Her wide, glowing eyes lifted to his. Her breath came fast and sharp, but slowly as his calm gaze held hers, the shaking lessened. The objects dropped back to the ground with heavy clatters. The flames in the fire machine lowered. The light steadied. Silence returned. The girl collapsed into his arms, sobbing. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." The human held her gently, though his mind was racing. Her power was not a curse. It was something else. Something rare. Something that others would kill to control. When her crying finally slowed, he asked softly, "Do you remember when this started?" She shook her head weakly. "I was always like this. They called me a mistake. They said I should never have been born." The human's jaw clenched. Whoever they were, they had feared her enough to lock her away, test her, and then abandon her. He knew now why the soldiers wanted her back. She was more than just a child, she was a weapon. But he also knew one more truth. She did not want to be a weapon. He pulled back slightly, looking her in the eyes. "Listen to me. Your power is not evil. It is only dangerous because you cannot control it yet. But I will help you. You understand?" Her tears glistened in the dim light. Slowly she nodded. The human stood and walked to the table, his thoughts heavy. He had made his decision already, but now he understood the price. Keeping her meant more than protecting a child. It meant defying powerful forces. It meant being hunted. He glanced at her again. She had curled up on the bedroll, exhausted, holding the cloak tightly around her small body. Despite everything, there was a peaceful look on her face now, as if his words had given her something she had never known before. Hope. The human turned toward the door. Outside, he could already hear faint noises in the distance, shouts, heavy boots. The soldiers were searching. They would not give up so easily. He rested his hand on his weapon. His voice was quiet, almost a whisper, but filled with resolve. "They will come, but they will not take her. Not while I live." The night stretched long. The girl slept fitfully, her power stirring in her dreams, and the human kept watch, knowing the storm was coming closer. The alien city did not rest. Even at night, its streets glowed with neon lights, its towers hummed with strange energy, and its skies echoed with the sound of engines. But somewhere deep inside the chaos, fear was spreading. Fear of the girl. Fear of the power she carried inside her. The human knew it. He felt it in every whisper, in every stare from strangers, in the way the market traders pulled back when he passed. Rumors moved faster than ships, and already the story had changed. Some said the girl could destroy entire worlds. Others said she was a weapon built by a secret empire. All agreed on one thing: she was dangerous. And where there is fear, there are hunters. The human kept the girl hidden inside his shelter, but he knew they could not stay there for long. Each night, shadows moved closer. Strange figures lingered outside, watching, waiting. Sometimes he heard voices whispering in languages he did not know. Sometimes he saw the glow of weapons in the dark. The girl sensed it too. She clung to him, her eyes wide, her breath shaking. "They're coming," she whispered one night. "I can feel them." The human placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "Stay calm. I won't let them take you." But even as he said it, he knew the truth. Danger was already here. The attack came at dawn. The girl woke to the sound of crashing metal. The door to the shelter bent inward as heavy boots stomped outside. Voices shouted orders. Weapons buzzed with deadly energy. The human grabbed his blaster and pulled her to her feet. "Stay behind me," he ordered. The door burst open. 2 armored soldiers stormed in, their alien faces hidden behind masks. Behind them, more shadows filled the hallway. "There she is," one soldier hissed. "The runaway?" The girl trembled. She could feel their hate pressing down on her. Her power stirred inside, wild and unstable. The human fired first. A bright flash lit the room and one soldier fell back. The second lunged forward, swinging a blade of glowing plasma. The human blocked with his arm guard, sparks flying. "Run!" he shouted to the girl, but she froze, too scared to move. The air around her thickened. Objects rattled. The walls groaned. Her eyes glowed faintly, power leaking out with every heartbeat. The soldier turned toward her. "No!" the human shouted, striking him down before he could reach her. More footsteps echoed in the hallway. They were surrounded. The human grabbed her hand and pulled her through the back door. They ran into the narrow streets, the city just beginning to wake. Market stalls opened. Lights flickered on. But when the people saw the girl, they pulled back in fear. "Hunters will take her," someone shouted. "She is cursed," another hissed. The human ignored them. He pushed forward, leading the girl into the maze of alleys. Behind them, the soldiers chased, their voices sharp and cruel. "Don't let them escape. She belongs to us." The girl stumbled, but he lifted her into his arms and kept running. His breath came hard, his muscles burned, but he refused to stop. At last, they reached the edge of the district where the streets opened into a wide square. The sun rose over the city, painting the towers in red light. For a moment, it almost looked peaceful. But then more hunters appeared. A dozen soldiers stepped into the square, their weapons glowing. The human set the girl down behind him. His blaster hummed ready. But he knew the truth. He was only one man. The leader of the hunters stepped forward, his armor black, his voice cold. "Human, you cannot win. Give us the girl and we may let you live." The girl's eyes filled with tears. She gripped the cloak tighter. "Don't leave me," she whispered. The human stood tall. His voice was steady. "You'll have to kill me first." The hunters raised their weapons. The air grew heavy again. The girl's fear boiled over and her power answered. The ground shook. The air cracked with invisible force. The soldiers stumbled as energy pulsed outward from her small body. Their weapons sparked, some breaking in their hands. The leader's eyes widened behind his mask. "Controller!" he shouted, but she could not. Her power surged wild, stronger than ever before. The walls of nearby buildings cracked. Windows shattered. The ground split open. The human rushed to her, grabbing her shoulders. "Breathe! Focus on me! Don't let it take you." Her glowing eyes locked on his. Her chest heaved. Slowly, painfully, the shaking lessened. The energy dimmed. The city groaned but did not collapse. The hunters stared in stunned silence. Fear filled their eyes now. Fear of her. The human raised his weapon again. "You saw what she can do. You really want to try again?" The soldiers hesitated. Then one by one they stepped back. The leader glared, but he knew the truth. They were not ready to face her. "This isn't over," he growled before turning away. The others followed, vanishing into the shadows of the city. Silence filled the square. The girl collapsed against the human, exhausted. Her eyes dimmed, her body weak. He held her close, whispering, "It's all right. They're gone for now." But inside he knew the truth. This was only the beginning. The hunters would return stronger than before, and when they did, The girl's strange abilities would decide everything. The city was no longer safe. The human knew it the moment the hunters stepped back and disappeared into the shadows. Their retreat was not defeat. It was preparation. They would come again, faster, stronger, and with greater numbers. He could feel eyes watching from every corner of the market square. Traders, beggars, thieves, everyone had seen the girl's power. Fear spread like a disease, and fear always called hunters. "We can't stay here," the human whispered. The girl leaned weakly against him, her body trembling from the force she had unleashed. Her eyes no longer glowed, but her fear had not faded. Where will we go?" "Far from here," he answered firmly. They moved quickly through the back alleys. The human carried her when her legs faltered. Neon lights flashed above them, painting their path in red, blue, and green. The streets twisted like a maze, but he knew how to move unseen. Years of travel had taught him how to vanish, yet tonight it was harder. Voices shouted in the distance. Soldiers searched block by block. Strange flying drones hummed overhead, scanning with beams of light. Each time a beam passed near, the girl's body stiffened in fear. The human pressed her close against the wall, waiting until the drone passed. Then he moved again, faster, deeper into the maze. At last they reached the edge of the district where the streets gave way to old tunnels. The entrance was broken, half buried in rubble. Few dared to go inside. "Here," the human said. The girl's voice shook. "It's dark." "Better dark than dead," he replied. They entered the tunnels. The air was damp and heavy. Strange echoes followed their steps. The deeper they went, the colder it became. The girl clung to his cloak. "Are we safe now?" The human's eyes scanned the shadows. For now. But he knew the truth. Safety was only an illusion. Hours passed as they moved through the underground. The girl grew quieter, but her power did not. Sometimes when fear struck her heart, the tunnels shook. Sometimes the lights on the walls flickered without reason. The human noticed every change. He spoke calmly each time, grounding her. "Breathe. Focus. I'm here." Slowly she learned to follow his voice. The tremors lessened. The lights calmed. Still he knew it was only the beginning. If she could not control her power, the hunters would find them no matter where they hid. At last they stopped to rest inside a broken chamber. The walls were carved with strange alien markings, old and forgotten. The human set her down gently and gave her water. She drank slowly, her eyes fixed on the symbols. "What do they mean?" she asked. "Old language," he said. "Older than this city. Older than the people who live here." She traced one symbol with her finger. It glowed faintly under her touch. The human's eyes narrowed. "Your power," he muttered. "It reacts to things. Not just machines. Maybe even the past." The girl looked at him with wide eyes. "Is that why they want me? Because I can do things others can't?" He nodded slowly. "Yes, and because they fear what they don't understand." Her lips trembled. "Then I'll always be hunted." The human's voice was firm. "Not always. If you learn control, you will be more than what they fear. You'll be free." The girl said nothing, but a small spark of hope lit in her chest. Suddenly, a noise echoed through the tunnels. Boots, metal clanging, voices shouting. The hunters had found the entrance. "They're close," the human said. He pulled her to her feet. They ran deeper into the tunnels, their footsteps echoing louder. Behind them, light beams cut through the darkness. Shouts grew closer. "Don't let them escape." "She's here!" "I can feel her." The girl's fear spiked. The tunnel walls shook. Stones fell from above. The hunters laughed cruelly. "She cannot hide," one shouted. "Her power betrays her." The human gritted his teeth. He knew they were right. Her fear was like a beacon, guiding them straight to her. "Listen to me," he shouted as they ran. "Do not give in to fear. Focus only on your steps. Focus only on me." The girl gasped for breath. Tears filled her eyes. But she forced herself to listen. Her steps grew steadier. The shaking lessened. Still, the hunters were too close. At the end of the tunnel, the human saw an opening above, a broken shaft leading to the surface. He boosted her up first, lifting her with all his strength. She scrambled through, pulling herself onto the street above. "Go," he ordered. "Run." But she shook her head, refusing to leave him behind. "No, you promised you wouldn't leave me." For a moment, the human's heart clenched. He had promised. He leapt, pulling himself through the shaft as blaster fire scorched the walls below. They tumbled together onto the street above, gasping for breath. The city stretched before them, wide, endless, and dangerous. The human grabbed her hand, pulling her forward. "We run," he said. And so they ran, vanishing into the maze of streets once more. The hunters still chasing, the storm still rising. The chase had pushed them to the edge of the alien city. The towers no longer glowed here. The streets were broken, filled with rubble and silence. It was the forgotten part of the city, where only shadows lived. The girl's small hand trembled in the human's grip. Her breaths came fast, her body weak, but her eyes, those strange glowing eyes, still carried a fire. "They will not stop," the human said quietly. His voice was steady, but his face showed the truth. He was tired too. "They will follow us until the end." The girl swallowed hard. "Then what do we do?" He looked at her, and for a moment he almost had no answer. But then he said firmly, "We fight. Together." The sound of boots echoed across the ruins. The hunters had caught up. Dozens of armored soldiers surrounded the square. Their glowing weapons pointed straight at the human and the girl. The leader stepped forward, his voice sharp and cold. "It is over. She is ours. Hand her over, human, and we will spare your life." The human stood tall, his cloak wrapped around the girl. His weapon hummed, ready, but his eyes showed no fear. "You'll have to kill me first." The girl gripped his cloak tighter. Her voice was small but clear. "No, they don't want you. They want me." He turned his head slightly toward her. "Doesn't matter. You're with me now." The leader raised his hand. The soldiers moved closer, step by step, their boots pounding against the broken stones. The girl's heart raced. Fear burned inside her, but with it came something else. Strength. The same power that had always frightened her now rose again, brighter, heavier. The air around her trembled. The human felt it. He looked down at her glowing eyes and whispered, "Don't fear it, use it. But don't lose yourself." The first soldiers charged. The human fired, his blaster lighting up the ruins. One soldier fell, then another. But there were too many. Plasma blades slashed through the air, forcing him back. Sparks flew as weapons clashed. The girl cried out, her power bursting free. The ground split apart, throwing soldiers off their feet. The air exploded with invisible force, hurling weapons away. The hunters shouted in fear. "She cannot control it. She'll destroy us all." But this time they were wrong. The girl's body shook, but she did not collapse. Her eyes blazed brighter than ever before, glowing like twin stars. Her power no longer felt wild. It felt alive, guided by her will. She raised her hands, and the rubble lifted from the ground, floating around her like a storm of stone. Soldiers tried to charge again, but the stones shot forward, striking them down. The leader staggered back. "Impossible," he whispered. "She was not supposed to survive." The girl stepped forward. Her small voice carried across the battlefield, stronger than the shouts of soldiers. "I am not your weapon. I am not your curse. I choose who I am." The hunters froze. Fear spread through them like fire. The human stood at her side, his weapon still ready, but his eyes filled with something new, pride. The leader roared in anger and lunged forward, his blade glowing bright. But before he could strike, the girl raised her hand. The air cracked with energy. The blade shattered into pieces. The leader fell to his knees, his mask broken, his face twisted with rage. "You don't understand what you are," he shouted. "You will destroy everything." The girl's eyes glowed brighter. She lifted him into the air with invisible force. For a moment, the soldiers thought she would crush him. But then, slowly, she lowered him to the ground. Her voice was calm, steady. "I am not here to destroy. I am here to live." The soldiers stared in silence. Their leader gasped, broken and humiliated. At last he gave the order no one expected. "Retreat." The hunters stepped back one by one, vanishing into the shadows of the city. The ruins fell quiet. The girl's power dimmed. Her eyes returned to normal. She stumbled, her body weak, and the human caught her before she fell. "You did it," he said softly. Her voice trembled. "I was so scared. But I remembered your words." He pulled the cloak tighter around her. "You're stronger than you know. Stronger than them, stronger than me." The girl leaned against him, exhausted but alive. For the first time she felt something she had never felt before. Not fear, not shame, not loneliness. She felt free. As dawn broke over the city, the two of them walked together through the ruins. The future was uncertain. The hunters would return. Others would come. The galaxy would not ignore her power forever. But now she was not abandoned. She was not alone. and beside the human who had chosen her, she whispered words that carried into the rising light. You claimed me. Now, I will protect you too.